WWE has been on a roll of a lifetime in 2025, beginning in January with the launch of Raw on Netflix and every single piece of WWE content available throughout the globe, to now a billion-dollar deal with ESPN for the rights of the WWE PLEs in the United States. WWE is swimming in money. And while these deals are great for WWE's business and definitely allow fans to watch the product in a way that was never available before, it does look like one major flaw is developing, and that has to do with the pay-per-view archive, something that at one point was one of the biggest selling points for the original WWE Network, something that fans like me really enjoyed and used nearly daily, might be going away. And I'm going to talk about why that is and why it would be a major mistake for WWE to do so. All that much more coming up right here in this video. So be sure to sit back, relax, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. I'm Omer Q, Big Om. Let's dive right in. When the original WWE Network launched back in 2014, it was a game changer for fans. It was a place where fans could experience the past, present, and future of WWE all in one place. You had the access to every single pay-per-view, past, present, and future for WWE, and on top of it, you had the kicker that WWE was going to open up the vault. They were going to open up the archives for every single wrestling library they owned. That meant WCW, ECW, World Class Championship Wrestling, and many more companies, their entire histories available right at your fingertips for $9.99. And for people like me who had heard stories about the Von Erichs, who had heard stories about what was going on in the early days of the NWA, to someone who had seen clips here and there about Hogan and the NWO, but had never really seen what it was like, it offered a chance to experience that history. And it offered a reprieve for many fans who may not have been fans of what was going on in 2014 with the current WWE product, but wanted to experience and engage with wrestling in that way and look at stuff from the past they may have enjoyed. And to me, while it was really cool that pay-per-views, something that I was very much not able to order for the vast majority of my childhood, were going to be available for such a low price every month, the real deal for the WWE Network for me was being able to go back and watch some of my favorite moments in WWE and wrestling history and experience new ones that may have been like 20 years old at that point. And to me, that was the best. I got to watch the rise of the NWO. I got to watch the rise of Ric Flair. I got to watch Sting develop into someone who became the face of the franchise. All of these wonderful things were all because WWE opened up their vaults fully so that you could explore and go on your own wrestling journeys as you wish. And I think that was the brilliant part of the WWE Network. Now, of course, the WWE Network didn't last. Back in 2021, they signed a multi-year deal with Peacock that would move the archives over to that platform, and then every single WWE pay-per-view moving forward. We experienced then the downfall of the archives. While there were still, yes, all of the major events of WWE available, it became more difficult to find these archives. It became more difficult to engage with them. The search engine just was not optimized for WWE viewing, and over time, you even saw them take things away from the archives. And that is when the real fear set in that, well, when will they just get rid of the archives altogether? And I think now that fear is materializing into something real. It was announced just last week that WWE would be signing a multi-year deal with ESPN to bring over every single future WWE PLE to that platform. And neither in the original press release nor in the subsequent interviews that Nick Khan, Mark Shapiro, and many others gave throughout that week about this deal was the archives mentioned. And it has been rumored and speculated now that WWE will no longer have the archives available to fans. And in my opinion, that would be a mistake. I understand right now WWE is in monetization mode, and the reality is they find it more worthwhile to not have that content included, because it will not only mean that their distributors, the ESPNs of the world, will have to find a way to upload all that data to their servers, and then they have to weigh the cost effectiveness of that. How much are people going to be watching an NWA house show from 1984? Me, a lot, but I guess not everyone else. But the point is, I think that WWE and their partners have kind of come to a agreement that the archives are not as valuable as what the current product is. And I also think that there's been a change in philosophy in WWE over the past couple of years. I don't think WWE, quite frankly, cares about the past of professional wrestling. I don't think that they care about the past stories about professional wrestling. They care about the WWE, they care about the WWE current, and they care about the WWE narrative and the fable of the company that has been spun. Same fable that told you that in 1987 at WrestleMania 3, Andre the Giant was slammed for the first time ever, even though it had happened just a couple of years before that by one Hulk Hogan, of all people. The same narrative that tells you that WWE were the good guys in the Monday Night Wars, when in reality, both sides had equal amount of smoke for each other and were doing underhanded things. The same narrative that tells you that WWE is the place where the steel cage match was invented. All these different things that are just not true. And I think that narrative and that story is just much better to tell. And it helps them monopolize the industry and monopolize the legacy of pro wrestling in a way that they really want to. And it's a lot easier to do that when you don't have specific things to go back and point to in an easy way, like you did with the network or even with Peacock, even though it was very hard to find stuff. And to me, I think that definitely plays a part into it. I do think that the logistical part of actually uploading the archives into one place is definitely a burden on the ESPNs and the Peacocks of the world. But I also think that WWE is doing their fans a disservice if they don't have that available. I understand they're uploading it to YouTube on the WCW channel and the WWE Vault channel, but you're not getting the full archives. You're not able to go back and watch stories as they develop. You're only going back and watching like individual shows. That was the beauty of the network. That was the beauty of the archive. You were able to see those stories develop, see those arcs develop, but that's no longer the case. And depending on what is available at launch for the ESPN app, we might not even have the full WWE archives at this point. And who's to say some shows may not be omitted? Like, we are in a very, very weird place where WWE genuinely believes that what they are currently doing now is some of the best stuff that they have ever done, and it's the only thing that matters, when in reality, everything that came before this in every single company is what led us to a place where, yes, WWE is very successful. And despite the fact that I have several storyline disagreements and several disagreements with the direction of the company creatively, realistically, and otherwise, I think that the idea of WWE as this monopoly, both in legacy and in the physical, like current present sense, is just wrong. And I think for fans who, want to go back and experience it and want to learn more about pro wrestling, I think by hindering that ability to go back and learn more about the history of wrestling, it makes WWE, once again, the only game in town. And that is when wrestling has traditionally always been at its worst. Think about when WCW went out of business and there was only WWE on TV. That coincided with not only a nosedive in WWE's business, but an interest in professional wrestling. Wrestling was never that hot again. And despite ratings and all that stuff and the money being up for WWE now, the point is popularity has never been like it was at that peak. And it is a product of WWE's monopoly, WWE's fableized storytelling about the history of professional wrestling, because of course WWE history is wrestling history in the worst way. But the point is, if I am able to make one plea to WWE about this situation, it is open the archives up. Make a deal with ESPN. Let people see the history of wrestling. And whether or not they choose to watch, it's okay, because the point is it'll be there. And if you are someone who has never seen some great matches like Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat at Chi-Town Rumble 1987, or that infamous Great American Bash match with Ric Flair and Terry Funk. I'm going on a huge Ric Flair binge currently, but besides the point, all that besides the point, I think everyone should go back and watch wrestling that, they aren't familiar with. I think that's what is so cool and has been so cool about the archives in the way that they were always presented. But looks like they're going away. That's my prediction. That's the direction we seem to be going in. I hope, pray that I'm wrong, but I'm usually not. Guys, let me know in the comment section, though, what you guys think about this. Do you want to see the archives come back in some way, shape, or form? I want to hear from you. Let me know down below with all of the characters. I know some of y'all are going to leave some paragraphs, so I'm ready for it. Also, be sure to smash that thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe. Until next time, I'm Omer Q, Big Ohm. Be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.